How's it going, guys? This is Ketchup Mustard here once again, but we're joined by some very special guests. This is another one of our Condiment Cast podcasts. We've just come off fresh from Insomnia 60, which was in Birmingham. It was a LAN festival, lots of video games going on. That's generally the nature of a LAN. But the big deal was Injustice 2 was fully playable to the public for the first time in basically ever. And on top of that, it was a really up-to-date build, and they were announced characters, but they were playable to the public again for the first time. So what we're going to do with this video is we're going to sit down very informally and just have a casual chat about what we thought about all of the new characters and the current version of the game that we played.
So we're joined by, three familiar faces. We've got, one by one, UndeadJim, Birmingham, MKX guy, a long-time NetherRealm player. How's it going, Jim?
How's it going?
Nice one. We've got OmegaK. You guys love him, I hope. If not, you're going to be stuck with him for the next hour. How's it going, Reese?
They're going to have to deal with me for a full hour.
Oh no,
How exciting.
unthinkable. Unthinkable. But the one we love, the eternal Greek thunder god himself, Nivek. How are you doing, my friend?
How you doing?
Oh, we're starting off strong with these Friends references.
Nivek, you do
Reese
look
down.
a little bit like Joey from Friends if he had a goatee.
But Joey
yeah.
and Ross,
Wait.
if they did the fusion dance.
But Joey's never had a goatee, really. So
If he did, though,
that's
he'd
kind
look
of
like
not
Nivek.
even remotely true.
He wishes to.
That's true. Anyway, we played a ton of Injustice 2 over the weekend. This is going to be completely about the build itself. Just a quick disclaimer. Again, this is pre-release. Everything we're about to talk about is subject to change. Like, we don't know what NetherRealm are going to do with these characters. They could, like, change everything for all we know. And also, this is all in the public eye. Everything in this build was completely playable by the public. So we are able to talk about it because it was playable to the public, and everything these characters can do is already known. We're just going to be talking about it. So let's kick things off with some of the newer characters that were playable. So this build had 12 playable characters, which was the 6 characters from the beta, as well as 6 new ones. We have Swamp Thing, Deadshot, Dr. Fate, as well as Aquaman, Harley, and Wonder Woman as returning characters being completely playable and seemingly changed in some Injustice 2 style ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about these one at a time and basically just give our thoughts and feelings. So let's start things off with, I guess, one of the more interesting characters from the build that were playable, and that's Swamp Thing. I know particularly UndeadJim and Omega, you guys both put quite a lot of time into Swamp Thing. So generally, I guess we'll start with you, Reese. How did you feel about him?
Well, he was just sort of like your standard grappler. He was very read heavy. I felt like you kind of had to make the right read to actually get any payoff. Really good range. Kind of slow on startup with some of his strings and normals, but he kind of compensated that with the damage and range he had.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I played him a bit as well, and it's one thing when we saw him on the Watchtower stream and they went through all of his tools. Obviously, the kind of knee-jerk reaction is, "Oh my God, this character's got everything!" Like,
he's got full screen grabs.
Yeah.
That's mad. But
yeah, exactly, right? Like, he's a grappler, but
So
he's
it's like,
got grapple damage on long range, and he's got a low, and he's got all these crazy mids and whatnot.
Yeah.
But upon playing him, like, he did feel like he had a lot of options for a lot of the screen. But at the same time, like, he did not have the fastest normals in the world. And his jump was, again, like, super floaty. So he's going to be... I definitely got the impression that he's all going to be about that ground game, right? Like, starting, no pun intended, rooted on the floor, planting himself there to make sure that he can control that space. But that being said, one thing that got me was his vine grabs. When we saw them on the stream, and they mentioned that you can control the range they have, they seem to be very specific range-wise. Like, if they were even remotely to the left or right of where the grab ended, they weren't going to get thrown.
It looked kind of nuts, but I mean, in that respect, it was quite forgiving with the ranges. Like, you could catch people backdashing and stuff with the vine grabs. It was just the fact that they can be ducked, so you can't really enforce anything full screen because they're just so easily like jumped and ducked out of. That was probably the biggest problem with them, but they are still good for catching people, you know, dashing in and out of your range.
No, I can see that. Adam, I know you put a lot of time into finding out, I suppose, some of the more close range game with Swamp Thing, and I noticed that you had some, like, I mean, I guess all of us really look for tick grabs and whatnot, because just for clarification, his vine grabs are command grabs. They can't be blocked, but they are highs. Whereas Green Thumb, which is just his normal, like, he grabs you and gets the multiple follow-ups, that is a straight-up mid-command grab that you can't duck. And I know that UndeadJim, you were looking at a lot of options with that close range.
Yeah, I found the first few, and then kind of Reese figured out a few other kind of select ones. Like once I figured out you could down one tick, and
Yeah.
that was kind of the main one. But I know Reese, you found like
It was down one, down two, down three. The first hit of down three because it's a two-hitting sweep, and he had a back one which is like a low stomp as well, and those were all tick throws into green thumb.
He actually felt very pick throw wise, he felt very Grundy-esque. In a sense that I know a really powerful thing with Grundy was sort of down two into tick grab. Whilst Swamp Thing's down two wouldn't combo into green thumb, it would like if it caught them jumping, it seemed to recover fast enough that perhaps you could get a follow up if you're paying attention. But it's all height dependent. But one thing that made his tick grabs really strong was his kind of like I guess like his shoulder barge where he kind of goes underground, comes back up and hits them. I don't know if it will stay this way, but hopefully it does. Was actually slightly plus on block, so you would get a lot of down ones after it because again
he had a couple of frame traps.
Yeah, exactly. But it was all based around his down one, so he has the tools to get them blocking a down one. Because if you block that shoulder and try and jump, the down one's going to catch you and you can get a full combo on it. So as soon as you're sitting there blocking the follow up of the charge because it's slightly plus, you know that down one's coming. That's when you start getting opened up by down one tick grabs. And as soon as they're blocking down one tick grab, you start going straight into green thumb, you start doing other strings to try and catch him, and I think that's going to be a really interesting dynamic for him.
Yeah, another big thing about that was his forward 2-3-3 string, because I know it's a pre-release build, but it was +8 on block with massive range, so that kind of let you enforce your down one and get your tick throws going and your other grab setups. So that was kind of what his entire game was based around, that string.
Just to clarify,
at least that's how
I think I was about to say the same thing. The forward 2-3-3 string is that sort of 3-hit club string that we saw in Watchtower.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of his club, his jump 2. Oh my lord! I know I said
that was a
earlier
pretty
on,
good jumping.
I know I said earlier on he has a really floaty jump, which is historically not a great thing. But his jump 2 is he just brings out his club and he just slams it down really low to the ground, but it has incredible range. And because it's like Injustice style jump-ins, if you dial in your string in the air as part of that jump-in, no matter what range that jump-in connects, if you make it follow up with forward 2, no matter how far away you hit it, you are going to be able to combo into that forward 2-3 and hit confirm into the launching shoulder and get what seemed to be like respectable damage. And that's another thing about Swamp Thing was he did seem to hit really hard if you were able to combo into the Vine Grab. Because the Vine Grab does like 20%. If you meet your buddy, it does like 25, 26.
Yeah, it's, the 1 meter
chunk.
BMB is like 40% damage.
Yeah, but they were very simple. Like the combo doesn't have time to scale before these massive damage grabs come out to get you like 30, like high 30s, 40%-ish for a bar, just because you've done a few hits into grab. And he seemed to get that a lot, which was really cool.
I've personally found his sort of, I guess you could say a core mix-up was his forward 2-3-3 with being plus on block but having massive range on the forward 2. A really attractive option early on was to deny the plus frames. If you expect a tick grab after that, would be to backdash. But if Swamp Thing were to do forward 2-3-3, predict your backdash, he could do another forward 2 and actually catch you.
Yeah.
And because forward 2-3 is easily hit confirmable, you can hit confirm the forward 2-3 into his launching string.
And it was very
launching
easy
special.
to do so as well.
Yeah, lots of time. Lots of time.
But also because forward 2-3-3 is mid overhead and log kick being a low, I assume you can probably fuzzy it, but the fact that he has like overheads built into his strings and a low built into his kit, I feel like he's going to kind of, and as soon as you start throwing command grabs on top of that, he's going to have some kind of like, there's going to be a lot of pressure when you're on the defensive against him, because he is going to have a lot of things to just randomly throw out at you, and a lot of them are unsafe on block, so you've got to be careful, understandably, but I feel like it's not going to be a simple case of just sitting there and blocking and waiting out, because, I don't know, Swamp Thing just gave a really good vibe to me.
Now, I think
Log
just...
kick,
carry on.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to say log kick's really good against zoners as well. Like, Swamp Thing gets zoned out pretty hard, but log kick is really good for trading. It's active pretty early, and if Swamp Thing gets hit out of the animation, the log stays on screen. So you're getting a knockdown, you're trading with the other guy's projectile, and that's just kind of beneficial for him, really, because it lets you get in, gives you that time, and because jump 2 such long range, you get the knockdown, and then you're practically in after that.
I know a very popular thing that you did, particularly in the Deadshot Swamp Thing match, was you would do a low log. You do a low log deliberately to you knew you were going to take damage, but you would do it just to get the trade. So when the log would hit me, on my own wake up from far away, you would then do a far vine grab, and if I were to dial in a projectile from that range, I'd actually get hit by the grab, and then you hit confirm that into meter burn for like 30% damage.
Well, think of it this way,
just
right?
One grab
particularly in the Deadshot Swamp Thing matchup, one of Deadshot's, if not his best special move, seems to be like his assault rifle, which we'll touch on this later on, but you'd meter burn the assault rifle, and you'd crouch down, shoot a ton of shots. It does crazy damage on hit, loads of chip damage, loads of pushback. You'd think that would be a nightmare for something like Swamp Thing, but because of the startup on the rifle, he just flings a log out, and if you even get the bullet on screen in time, you're at the worst going to trade. And the log by itself did a ton of damage. There's a couple of other things I want to touch on before we move on, but they are small, so we'll get talking about the other characters soon.
Talk about that character power, Brew.
That was one thing, his character power. I'm not sure if it's we just didn't have time to figure it out, because it clearly is more technical than meets the eye, but we couldn't figure out a use for it at all, really, could we?
I think there were just too many sort of long-ranged advancing specials and stuff for to enforce anything while you're in it. And most of the time, Swamp Thing's trying to get in, so I just couldn't really find any massive use for it.
Oh, plus, the initial thought would be do something like hard knockdown and cancel into traits while they're getting off the ground. Some of the garden is already planted, but I sort of found that we'd be doing so much damage by ending with the vine grab or getting so much sustain from the healing part of Green Thumb.
Yeah,
it just never seemed worth the trade-off. And
that
that
heal
was
very significant.
Yeah,
as well.
I think the heal on Green Thumb is going to be absolutely insane, because not only can you heal twice, and it seemed to be giving him like 10% health back per heal. Not only can you choose to heal twice but do no damage, the most efficient one was spend a bar to heal once and then do your 17% follow-up from it. So you've just put this 27% health divide.
Yeah, I think it was... I don't think it healed... Did it heal for 10%?
It did a lot of healing.
It was between 5 or 10%, so you kind of got a big trade-off for burning that extra bar a meter.
It definitely seemed like it anyway. I mean, obviously, numbers aren't final. We could always be wrong with specifics here, but the fundamental point was it would give you enough health back to seemingly make a big difference in certain situations, especially if you have the opponent cornered.
The final thing I'd like to mention that I noticed particularly about him was because he had those frame traps on deck that would get you blocking. He was building a lot of bar, which meant he always had bar to heal off those command grabs, always.
Yeah, so there's just so much mids, right? Like his back 2 is like a shoulder barge. You can do back 2-2 to shoot spines out and it's +8, but you're quite far away. Or you can do back 2-3-2-3, which is the string you saw where the clone comes out of the ground and punches. That string is just all mids. He's got so many long advancing mids that you just kind of have to block. And because it's Injustice, blocking is going to do a lot for him, and chip damage is pretty significant. So it's you have so many situations you have to block against Swamp Thing because he just has that range that he's going to have a lot of bar. And when he's got bar, he can do a lot with it. But all in all, was quite impressed by Swamp Thing, I think.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
What I will say before you quit, a few little mentions is stand 3 is the two-hitting one.
Oh yeah, the stand 3.
That is super good. I think the main problem with the trait at the moment is you think, okay, I can't jump and I can't dash, but what if I do this pretty useless forward 2 down 1 string that goes low and side switches, but hey, reset, maybe it makes the garden so you can, if you hit him with that as a punish, you can plant a bunch of garden.
We thought maybe put the garden underneath
it doesn't.
Him, but
so what happens is the problem with this trait, I feel, is you put down this garden and then all of a sudden you go, well, if I use my forward advancing string, the garden did nothing. If I dash or jump or use any kind of other movement, the garden's gone. So you end up just walking around planting this garden and then doing... and
then you get hit and it disappears from the ground.
And it goes away forever. So...
if it was Injustice 1 where walk speeds were terrible, it'd probably be a little bit better. But you can just kind of... I don't know, it just doesn't really offer that much, to be honest.
I just don't see how it kind of improves his game very much.
Yeah.
I think
if you got him in the corner...
If was a mid, then yeah. Definitely.
It's if you've got him in the corner where you want to use the trait anyway, you're going to be pressing a bunch of stand 3 anyway, which don't really matter that the trait's there. You're going to be doing forward 2-3-3 or something along those lines, or you're going to be in range because his Green Thumb had quite a bit of range without having to tick throw or anything. It had a further range than his down 1, so you're just going to be throwing him anyway. I don't see, because his trait had a lot of stall up, so you'd have to sacrifice something to get the trait out. And so,
And considering the majority of his
yeah.
damage seemed to come from the grab ender, like you're looking at a lot of damage being sacrificed. And if you've like just eaten 20-30% in projectiles getting in, by the time you hit them, you don't want to be wasting out on damage if it's going to leave you at a disadvantage, I think.
Yeah, I think his trait at the moment isn't kind of like an obvious thing. It'll be something where you'll have to like kind of. It might be one of those things where it's like it's not useful in 8 out of 10 matchups, but on those 2 matchups, it turns out to be super good at just like wasting time or just letting you build meter from far, because the guy has had no projectiles or anything. He has to get in, and you just walked back half the screen and created a guard, and you just build in 4 bars or something.
So now I think that about covers Swamp Thing. I think that's about right.
The 2 final tidbits, just in case to prevent anyone asking. I think it was down back 3, that sort of stomp that when you meter burn it creates trees around you. That was a very good wake up attack.
Down back 2.
Down back 2. Yeah, that was his wake up attack where he stomps the ground and creates the tree. When you meter burn it, it becomes even bigger. It was a very good wake up attack with a lot of range. Can't really jump in on him.
If they jump at you on wake up, you do the tree, and that's
exactly.
it.
So that was a really, really good tool. And the final tidbit is that one of the only characters I've seen so far that can special cancel his sweep, because his sweep is that double hitting really long range low. His sweep is that double hitting long range vine whip. You can kind of like almost ninjutsu back 4 style special cancel that first hit, which is really useful for him. And that's just just a final bit of information, I think, just in case anyone was wondering. But
his down 3 was the only normal he had that would combo into meter burn back 3 or meter burn forward 3. The only problem with down 3 is that it is super free to jump in. It's like it recovers very slowly, and because it hits so low, like if you do it right as they jump in at you, you are gonna eat a full combo of whatever they want. Yeah, it is straight up. You do it in footsies to make a read, but if you're against jump happy opponents, maybe you got to be a bit careful. But I think that about covers it for Swamp Thing. So I'm thinking we break this up by doing like new character and then a returning Injustice 1 character that hasn't been playable yet. So how would you guys feel about going into? Because I know we haven't had a chance to. Because I know Nivek didn't really see much Swamp Thing because he spent all of his time with Wonder Woman, understandably. But I know Nivek, you played against Adam's Aquaman quite a bit. So do you think let's talk about Aquaman a bit, because Aquaman, a very powerful character in Injustice 1, still feels good now, but definitely changed. So what did you fighting against Aquaman a lot, Nivek? What did you get the vibe from him?
As you see, I am not speaking a lot because I was practicing and trying a lot of Wonder Woman, so you're gonna hear me more talking about her. But,
it's gonna be the Nivek show when we go into Wonder Woman. It'll be all yours, man, all yours.
First of all, I would like to add about Swamp Thing that he's a defense tower. He has long range. Not easy to go in. You have to be very, very patient. Otherwise, you're not gonna get in ever. His mids being plus on block is a really, really big trouble. So you have to be patient.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go to Aquaman. Aquaman was slightly different than the Injustice 1 Aquaman you used to play against. He's again strong with a bar. If you don't have bar, he's not such a big trouble. But when he gets a bar, he gets his damage back, which is the biggest threat against him.
This was a major change to Aquaman, is that unlike Injustice 1 Aquaman that could combo from his meterless from the deep, he could combo off his scoop. He can't do that anymore. That's one of the major changes, is that the regular from the deep, for those that are wondering, it's when he stabs the ground and a trident would come up from the floor. That is still in Injustice 2. However, the regular version just physically cannot launch them anymore. You need to meter burn them from the deep to get that pop-up, and then he can continue the combo. And it's the same thing with his scoop. They pretty much gave Aquaman's scoop in Injustice 2 the same treatment that Superman's scoop got as well, where it used to launch and now it won't unless you spend a bar, and then he'll pop you up the same way he did in the first game, which basically means that if he's got no bar, he can't combo you anymore.
What I love in Injustice 2 is that there's almost no launchers without a bar.
Yeah,
if you
that's
think
definitely
about
something that at the very least has been toned down. I know there are exceptions, like obviously Superman still got a launcher, Wonder Woman still had one, Beetle
Canary
had one,
as well.
Yeah, Canary too. But a lot of the characters that have the meatless launchers, that is far from their like optimal damage. Like a lot of characters will do meatless launches into like 20.
Yeah.
No more. I don't think I'm yet to see someone break 30%, and unless they're starting with like a raw back 3 or forward 3, in which case like you deserve that damage because they are easy to react to if you've not got any bar. But
or either they need time to charge up, like Canary's Cry.
yeah, oh yeah, of course, and even then like that's her character power. That is like exclusive to her, and at the same time like it's a diverse character power, but that is kind of like Canary's only full screen threat. So it kind of needs to be that way, otherwise, you know, she's kind of free to any and all zoning. But the choice to make Aquaman a lot more meter dependent, in a game where there's already more reasons to use your bar. So if you're playing Aquaman and you're saving all of your meter for, you know, launching your opponent and doing combos and whatnot, you're not going to have it to air tech. You're not going to have it to make the most out of your wages. You're not going to have it to push block and. You know, there's probably a ton in this game that will end up needing to be pushable. Like, for example, if you're playing Aquaman and you're against Atrocitus, and you haven't got trait ready, you're just going to eat those 50-50s every time he presses forward 2, because, like, you're never willing to push block. You're never willing to spend any bar. So you're going to have to be... You can't be greedy as Aquaman with your bar anymore. And even then, like, should you actually spend the bar, I'm pretty sure meatless from the deep... I don't want to say it was safe, but it definitely seemed safe.
It was... I think you could still punish it up close.
Yeah.
But from like full screen, it's definitely safer.
Yeah, but also meter burn from the deep did seem to launch the opponent higher. I know you could get a back 3 in Injustice 1, but it was like relatively tight or range dependent. But now if you get meter burn from the deep, you have a long time to go in and do something because they were launched like significantly higher.
Yeah, it's now a lot easier to combo from the meter burn because they're launched higher. So it's like now he has to spend the bar to do it. However, the payoff for that is that it's now... I mean, like, there is no way in hell you're dropping back 3 after from the deep now because they are that much higher up in the air.
Jim was getting a lot of damage just from that.
Yeah. How much was that, Jim? You're getting like 47% or something.
The only time you might lose a tiny bit of damage was on females at a certain range, but for males at the start it'd be like 45. If you did the female friendly range combo, it'd be like 42, 3.
But that's still great damage.
Yeah, like
it's
still
bar, right?
like big, yeah, it's still like over 40.
So on the subject of his combos,
I want to quickly mention there's going to be people screaming at us, screaming at the monitor right now, and this is something we all know, and this is by far actually my most asked question. Trident Rush, what's up with that now?
No meter gain on block.
Indeed.
That's a good one.
However, he doesn't really build as much bar as he did in Injustice 1, but there is one really big thing about his Trident Rush. It's actually damage and chip-wise unchanged. It's still very much Aquaman's Trident Rush.
Also safe.
Yeah, it's still safe, still unpunishable, and it still does damage and chip damage and must be push blocked. Now, at first glance, everyone basically goes, "Oh no, not again." However, we just mentioned that he now has to spend his meter to launch you for combo damage. We also touched on the fact that Injustice 2 has new mechanics that require meter, like air tech, like meter burn roll. Wage is still very important. Now he's having to spend his bar on those defensive options, and he's having to spend bar on his combos. If he's going to do nothing but Trident Rush the whole game, and that's all he's going to spend his bar on, he's got no bar to do anything else, now including combo damage.
I mean, if he's got one bar, one very annoying thing about Aquaman was that if he did meter burn Trident Rush, you kind of had to push block to not eat free chip. Yes, that's still going to technically be true, but beforehand, he could just go, I'm just going to spend all my meter on Trident Rush because screw it, I'll just confirm any string into from the deep, I'll confirm any string into Scoop and get like, 20+%. In this game, if an Aquaman does nothing, like let's say they've got one bar left and they're like, right, let me chip him out and get that 10% guaranteed chip. He's actually going to do something, he's going to punish you, he's going to hit you with a 2-2 or a back 1-2. What's he going to turn it into? A special move. That's literally all he's going to be able to do without bar. So I'm optimistic. Like, obviously, Aquaman is still fundamentally a powerful character. He still has very good anti-airs, very good mid options, great range on his normals. His jump-in still felt really good. His specials themselves still do a chunk of damage. Like
his trait is still in there as well. His trait
still behaves the same way.
Yeah, he's still very much Aquaman.
Yeah, he is still Aquaman. He's just not doing everything for free now. He actually has to sacrifice bar. He has to fundamentally not be greedy. I have no doubt he's probably still going to be strong. I'll be very surprised to see him be weak at any point in the game, but so long as he's not as brain dead and autopilot, I don't think there's anything wrong with him being strong. Like, characters should definitely design to be good. I don't think he should be nerfed just for the sake of making... Just because he was good in 1 doesn't mean he should be bad in 2, you know what I mean? I think that's a common misconception, is if a character was good in the first, like, oh, I can't believe they're good again, but it's like, characters need to be good in order for them to actually be fun, so I hope he still does well. I hope it doesn't end up being, you know, crazy. But you know, only time will tell. But I think this is a better direction
as
for
well.
him to go in.
I agree with you there. You were touching on a very crucial thing that some people may not have noticed, and I know UndeadJim, you spotted this. The old string he had, the string that would end combos.
Forward 2 grab.
Forward 2 grab, yes. That was the string that you would pretty much see every Aquaman end most of their stuff with, where he kind of like scoops them off the floor, stabs them into the air, flips them behind. You noticed something pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think because they understand that you're not going to have access to the scoop to change sides, and a lot of his combos are kind of bat 3 into jump 3 heavy now, and there's not much gravity after to kind of pick another string to do. In order to kind of let you get your max damage at every combo and not have to put him on the other side, you can hold forward now and he'll do the string. It's the same damage, except it will keep you on the same side.
Yeah.
So if you want to throw him behind, you can, but if you want to keep him in the corner now and not have to put yourself in the corner to get max damage, you don't have to.
Interesting, really.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of like
a...
I love the TeamSpeak say, it's great. But it's not necessarily like, I guess it's not really a new string, because I think it's the same input, right? You just hold forward instead. And he keeps them on that same side.
Yeah, that's correct.
Ender.
Okay, it's a quality of life thing, because I mean, a big thing about the scoop is, you know, you could use scoop to corner position and corner reposition in the first one, because they flew over your head. Like, meterless scoop in this game, it's not that they fly over your head and you can't combo, you just knock them away. Like, meterless scoop is absolutely nothing compared to what it used to be, so it's nice that he still has that option to reposition should he need to in that situation. But I think that's about as much as we could talk about Aquaman. We didn't really experiment much with his water shield. Nothing really much about that to say. His trait still behaved the same way, but did have a 30-second cooldown. So
yeah, I think it's a longer cooldown.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't remember if that's like a huge difference. I mean, again, it's quite considerable, so that's pretty nuts. But Aquaman is still going to be powerful, I think. He just maybe not as autopilot as he was in Injustice 1.
Well, you mentioned the water shield. it's pretty much the same. It seems very similar. It still has
his
the absorption.
Trash as well.
Oh yeah, that's actually one
really
thing.
Bad.
His backdash in this game is so bad.
It may be. Is it about the same as Kenshi's, or is it a little worse?
I don't know,
man. It's just
definitely
bad.
worse than it was. That's
if you're hearing, I suppose if you're hearing that as the question, you already know how kind of bad it is. It's not an option. Like
the fact that it was even compared to Kenshi's backdash. But so that's about it for Aquaman. Next one, I think out of all of us, Ryan, you were probably the only one to play this character.
Deadshot.
Deadshot.
Right.
Yes. What do you think?
So first things first, I'm gonna link this in the description, and I'm gonna leave a comment on the video. I made a.
Make sure you put first alongside it.
Oh well, I've already done that, mate. I do that all the time. On Test Your Might, I made a really detailed write-up on basically everything I could remember about this character. So you guys that have asked, what character am I interested in playing? Deadshot was always that number one. I knew I liked Atrocitus. I know I'm going to play Cyborg again in Injustice 2. When it comes to a new character that I haven't played, Deadshot was the number one guy for that. And I was really fortunate that he was indeed playable here, because beyond that one trailer and some of that raw footage of Black Canary, we've basically been shown nothing else of Deadshot. So what we've been able to do is speculate, and I'm glad that because of Insomnia, that speculation has now ended. Loads of characters in this game. Projectiles are a part of their game plan. With Deadshot, projectiles are, without a shadow of a doubt, like the main focus. Deadshot is absolutely going to be a keep away character. You're going to spend most of your game trying to keep the opponent as far away from you as possible. First things first, he's going to be public enemy number one when it comes to the more casual audience. If people didn't like Deathstroke, then they're going to have an aneurysm over Deadshot. It's as simple as that. I mean, he has 5 special moves, and 4 of them are projectiles.
I mean, to be honest, like, before you go into too much detail,
I think
to play devil's advocate here, I mean, Deadshot received a lot of casual hate, and I understand it. But at the same time, like, you know,
He means Deathstroke. He's just a scrub.
Oh yeah, I mean Deathstroke, but you know, keep away characters are an archetype that need to be filled in fighting games to keep the character roster diverse, and everything that was complained about for Deathstroke was not what made him good in the end. Like, Deathstroke arguably ended Injustice 1 as a top 10 character or potential top 10 character, but it was not for his keep away. It was for his, you know, aggressive up close options, his unpredictability, his general tools. Like, he was just a solid character. Man. Yeah, he was just a solid character all around. But at the same time, I understand why people found that quite irritating, because let's not forget Injustice 1 did have unfortunate online. You know, it did not have a great netcode. The online experience was very delayed, which made it frustrating to play. And Injustice being such a defensive, keep away heavy game, playing that kind of character, playing against that kind of character in the online delay that Injustice used to have, like, it would make anyone frustrated. But there's a reason Deathstroke was never really mass hated the same level in offline majors, because there's no delay. There's now no longer any issues with getting around or moving around what he can do. So the fact that Injustice 2 is going to be launching with better online anyway means that I think Deadshot might hopefully stand a chance at not being completely crucified by the online masses, because you can actually move the way you want to move now. You can duck his stuff on reaction. You can jump when you see him go for the rifle. It's not going to be as, I'm just going to walk into things because, you know, everything's delayed and I'm getting salty. You have more control now, which is going to be very helpful.
I think there's a couple of factors there. There are a couple of factors with his keep away in comparison to Deathstroke's. Deathstroke was a lot more limited, and he had to play by, I guess, what you could call the Injustice set of rules when it comes to playing keep away, where if you blocked a gunshot from Deathstroke, you were guaranteed a free forward dash, and then you could block the next gunshot and then work your way in that way. Almost take it in turns, where you would block a gunshot, dash, block a gunshot, dash. Within 2 forward dashes, you were within a range where it was now dangerous for him to go for another one. And that was kind of what the zoning was in Injustice 1. Deadshot in particular, his gunshots recover and are faster than Deathstroke's was in Injustice 1. And that comes from using basically all of his projectiles in conjunction with one another. He has a straight shot, which is a very fast recovering but low damage output projectile, and you can fire them a lot faster than Deathstroke could fire his gun in Injustice 1. So if you blocked a gunshot or ducked a regular gunshot fire from Deadshot and he fires them back to back, you'll actually get hit trying to forward dash. So you've got to walk your way in rather than dash your way in. So ultimately, it's probably going to take a bit longer to close the distance. And granted, Deadshot has more ways to keep you full screen, because he has 4 different projectiles. He's got a straight shot, which is a traditional straight projectile. You can crouch it. He can shoot it in the air, so there's going to be instant airs on deck there. He's got a retreating pistol shot, which is like a sort of burst of bullets where he does a little bit of a built-in half backdash thing and then shoots like a barrage of bullets. The meter burn for all of these, by the way, just fires extra projectiles for a bit longer. That's all they do, really. His ground shot is a typical kind of, you can choose one of 3 directions. You can do close, medium, or far, where he shoots the ground and it bounces up. And he's got a rifle shot. The rifle shot is pretty much exactly as we saw in his trailer, or that gameplay video more so of Black Canary that everyone has seen by now, where he fires a single shot by itself, and then when you meter burn that rifle shot, he fires like a machine gun barrage, which in this build still did really good chip, around 10%. It's pretty much like a full screen Trident Rush. And in this build, it did about 20% damage on hit. It's probably, I think, without a doubt, the best projectile in this game so far. It is a fantastically good projectile, and there's loads of pushback as well. So that's probably going to be like a really staple part of his game plan. But to really maximize it does cost him bar. The one difference in that machine gun now is that in that Black Canary video, everyone really freaked out over the meter build. He doesn't build that bar anymore. He does not build bar on it. So I guess that's like a silver lining to that move being as good as it is.
But it's a very important silver lining, because if he could just shoot a machine gun,
it would have been absurd.
And build like 70% of that bar back like he did in the Canary trailer, like there would be a lot of scope for panic, I think. It's basically a full screen Trident Rush, but the fact that that's the difference, it is all the difference, and it is very significant. So you guys all fought against Ryan at some point during the weekend with various characters. How did you feel? How effective did you feel Deadshot was?
His zoning was really good, but it was actually, the thing I noticed it was actually fun to fight against. It wasn't like Deathstroke, like you were saying earlier, where you just block dash. You had to kind of like move around the screen a bit more intelligently, and figure out what you could trade with, and just kind of play a bit more interesting sort of keep away game, I guess.
Because the Deadshot player had to do the same thing. Like, whereas the Deathstroke players in Injustice 1, because it was like the bullets would hit twice, they'd armor break, you couldn't use a charge to get in if it had armor. It was kind of like you said, right? It was literally just he shoots gun, you block it, you dash. He can't move, kind of thing, and it kind of used to be very he'd shoot, you dash, he'd shoot, you dash, and then before you know it, he's you're in, and he's like, okay, well, can I do a 50-50 or does he got to press a button? Like, do I jump 3 here or whatever? And that's another thing. Deadshot's jump-ins were ass.
They
like, his
were
jump-ins
so
were
bad.
really bad. So it's not like, whereas Deathstroke had, decent keep away, 2 hitting projectiles, an amazing jump-in, and annoying wake-ups in the sense that he had the sword spin and the flip. Deadshot has probably more effective keep away in Deathstroke, but his jump-ins are nothing compared to Deathstroke's, and his wake-ups aren't anywhere near as good. So,
and he doesn't have sword flip.
Yeah, so if you're fighting against Deadshot, whilst he does have access to a wake-up attack, if you block it, you punish it. You can make it whiff, you jump back, it whiffs, you neutral jump, it whiffs, you meter burn back 3, you punish it. He will be a lot easier to sort of lock down, and it also means that the Deadshot has to be more careful because he is punished harder for his mistakes in a more universal fashion, it seems.
I felt
very promising there.
I want to chime in on that really. I'm going to very briefly. We have spent the whole time comparing him to Deathstroke because it is a similar archetype, almost identical archetype as a base. Whereas once you closed in space versus Deathstroke, you had to worry about 2 different wake-up attacks, and it was almost a read of which one is he going to do. Because everyone complained about Deathstroke's sword flip, the forward flip. That was the one everyone complained about because it was fast. The real problem was the safe spin. That was the really good one. So it came down to you had to read which one he was going to do. Deadshot is not the same. He has 1 wake-up attack, which is like a flying knee strike. It has got wake-up invincibility because it is a wake-up attack, but it only hits once, and it's unsafe on block, and it doesn't cover a huge amount of distance. So if you think Deadshot's going to wake up and he's not got bar to meter burn it to make it safer, then it's a free punish every time. You'll be able to, against the single version, you can definitely armor back 3 it. You'll probably be able to do other things as well. Like I'm pretty sure you could probably down 2 it or something as well. You could probably meaty it. We just need training and just test our options. But it's definitely, his wake up game is not going to be anywhere near as good as Deathstroke's was, but I wanted that was the back forward 3, the flying knee. A big part of basically him getting combos as well. He can't really launch you. He doesn't have the same combo potential that Deathstroke did either. Whereas Deathstroke, if he punished you, he was going to launch you for free. He was going to get about 30% damage into a good knockdown into like an ambiguous jump or a jump 3 or whatever. Deadshot pretty much only, at least in that build, it seemed like he had much more limited ways to combo you mid-screen. And in the corner, he needed to use his back forward 3, the flying knee attack, in conjunction with one of his strings that would knock you in the air, and then that would kind of launch that way, and he'd get a little bit of like a corner juggle situation. But his general offense and combos were a lot more limited. I always sort of thought that basically if you took Deathstroke, but you removed a couple of strings and made his up-close game worse, but made his projectiles better, you'd pretty much have what Deadshot is right now. And
exactly.
That's pretty much it. The final thing, I'll be really quick. People will ask, what was his trait? His trait actually was really good. It would upgrade the bullets that he fired from his wrist cannons. It was not all projectiles. His trait did not affect his rifle in any way. Thank God for that. If you could,
can you imagine?
If you could trait the machine gun, it would be pretty insane. But basically, you can give yourself, in I guess true projectile character fashion, you can give yourself 3 different ammo types. There was the flame version, which was a neutral trait, where it basically made his wrist cannon moves do more damage, and they would apply a damage over time effect. That's basically it. He could press back and trait, which gives him explosive arrows, but explosive shots, they become blue. They always cause a knockdown. They do increased damage, and they always cause a fast and far knockdown, which I pretty much found myself using that the most, because you're pretty much now making all of your good projectiles cause a knockdown on hit. And what that means is if you're trying to zone someone out, 1 projectile knocks them full screen, happy days, zone them out, now they're far away. But also if they're trying to play the projectile game versus you, if you now trade, you're not restored, and they've now been knocked on the floor. So they get knocked on the floor on the trade, and it's now your turn to press a button. The final thing was a poison ammo type that didn't do extra damage, but it basically just caused meter drain effect. And I found that using his bullets from the wrist cannons, like the down back 2, the retreating shot, anything that would fire more than one projectile went a lot better with that particular trait form, because the more bullets that you hit them with, naturally the more meter that drains. So I personally think in competitive play, I think we're going to see all 3. It's not going to be one of those things where like 2 of the 3 are good,
man.
or only
and
one are
that's
good.
what it should be. Like
Yeah,
if you've ever got multiple choices of something in your character power, if one trumps all in all situations, then it's just not very well designed. And I hope Deadshot's ammo sort of follows that and can be used regarding on what you need.
But to be honest, I think, that's, like I said, I'll link my breakdown about him anyway, but other than that, just very fun character. Really enjoyed playing him. Casuals are probably going to hate him day one, but he fits an archetype that Injustice 2 has always needed, or Injustice in general has always had. So if you like keep away characters, then definitely play Deadshot day one and you have a lot of fun.
So let's move on to the big one for the man Nivek, Wonder Woman. Returning character from Injustice 1, we had Nivek down at iSeries, basically exclusively to play Wonder Woman this weekend for various show purposes, which was really, really good of him. But because of that, Nivek got a ton of time in with Lady Diana. So Diana, as I was say, that was Diana, whatever.
Princess Diana.
Of course. Anyway, Wonder Woman. Given you played her so much in the first, what were the main differences you found?
I played her exclusively for the whole weekend, for more than 10-12 hours. It was so much fun using her again for Injustice 2. Her main differences is that, first of all, she doesn't have the trait power change stances. She has only one trait she can use. She calls the gods to give her powers. There are 5 buffs she can take. First, her lasso buff. She gains more damage on her lasso based moves. Back 2, down 2, and back forward 1 is the lasso whip grab. Used to be down forward 1 in Injustice 1. Her shield buffs. Most of the buffs I'm saying, we already saw them, most of them in the video on the stream on Watchtower, but I will repeat them and add some ones that the guys didn't mention at all. So shield buff, back forward 3, shield buff, all her shield toss moves. Damage buff also erases enemies' projectiles, which is such a good tool against zoners.
That felt like the big thing was the shield buff, making your shield toss destroy enemy projectiles, meant that whilst, I mean, there's no getting around it, unreliable as it's random, should you get that buff against the right character,
yes.
Not even seems about it is very effective.
It made things quite interesting because it's almost like a mind game. Shield toss was unsafe in this build by certain projectiles.
Yes.
So knowing that was a tool, I think Nivek and I both found from that jump distance, we were both waiting for each other to do something, which was almost like a standoff situation, right? It was quite fun. I enjoyed it.
It was like playing Fuji's with projectiles.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like, yeah.
Yeah. Moving on. The boots buff gives her again her air dash from Injustice 1, even though when you're using your air dash and you fly over your opponent, Wonder Woman doesn't change direction. So most of the time it's gonna whiff, so you have to use it very, very careful so you can cross them up with jumping one on their back of their head.
I found that quite surprising though, because every other air dash in the game so far does definitely turn you around. So I wonder why. I mean, obviously this is pre-release, so for all we know, like it's supposed to, and you know, it just didn't in this build. But if it doesn't, I wonder why that would be the reasoning for. Because she does have, you know, powerful. Her jump in 1 and 2 didn't seem to be amazing, but her jump in 3 was definitely powerful. So maybe they just didn't want the people to like air dash into jump 3 all day. But regardless, again, if it's like if it's a random buff, then almost like is there really a problem with the air dash being that good if it's not something you can reliably get out? So I'm not really sure.
Next buff, her arms buff. That was a damage reduction buff, very very useful against almost everyone, I can say. That was a main to go buff, so you can go in almost brainless, you can say it. Go in, go crazy, jump all day, not fearing about huge damage opponents. But still, you should be careful with that. Even though you have damage reduction, you should be careful.
It was very effective though, just the general getting more health or taking less damage for a little while. Like on a character like Wonder Woman, who is herself, like I'm sure we'll talk about this very soon, but she herself had a lot of damage potential, like a lot of combo damage in her own kit. So all of a sudden, like if she's taking less damage but still hitting you just as hard, then it's quite stressful to deal
Blood
with.
God, right? Blood God's got Obsidian. He still does 50%.
Yeah, true.
Yep. The last one. Here, bracelets buff. That's actually the most weird one because when you parry a move and you have that buff on, the period that you gain the damage buff from parrying a move increases. I don't know how much useful can this be. I can understand it as an anti-zoning tool, parrying the projectile. I can understand it by predicting an attack from your opponent, but I don't find it that useful.
Yeah,
I would like
it's a lot more situational, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so much situational, and I would like to see. Many people were saying that they want her bracelets to send back the projectiles.
Oh, like a reflect.
Reflect that. Everybody was asking about that, and I didn't see it. I would like to see that in the final build, actually. My biggest problem with the trade was everyone's problem that it is random. That was the biggest problem. I was playing against the zoner. I wanted tools to play against him, like damage reduction or the air dash, but I wasn't getting them. I was getting the parry, which I was parrying the projectile, and then I couldn't do anything. I was getting the lasso buff, which I couldn't use because I couldn't get in. On the other hand, I was getting tools for characters I wouldn't want to. For example, I was getting air dash for a close range fights like Black Canary or Batman.
So not being able to instantly access tools
Exactly.
you know your character has, but not reliably, did seem frustrating. And I guess that's always the case, right? It was the thing that hurt Harley significantly in the first Injustice was her random trait. You know, she had setups and stuff for the bomb or uses for the different abilities, but the fact that you couldn't call upon them specifically did end up hurting her competitively. And I really hope that the same thing doesn't happen with Wonder Woman, because especially if you get like.
You look at Harley.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So you look at Harley. Giving her the hyenas was all you needed to just make Legacy Harley better, because now she's got a trait that you know will do exactly what it says on the tin every time.
But I mean, again, pre-release, we don't know what's happening with that. I mean, I would be surprised for them to make a big design choice, because I know on the Watchtower stream for Wonder Woman they specifically mentioned that she has a random trait, so I don't see them changing it. I just hope it doesn't end up hurting Wonder Woman in the long run, because that's just her character power. Aside from that, she had a meterless launcher that started off a low. Her shield toss could be meter burned to boomerang back the same way it did in Injustice 1, so she has access strings into shield toss, into launching string, into back three, so she still had nice damage potential, but you weren't just going to catch the launcher in the neutral. It started up quite slow. You definitely hit confirm into a meter burn shield to get it off the ground. But again, right, if you're unable to reliably bring out those character power abilities as and when you need them, then it is going to hinder her. I just hope it doesn't hinder her to the point that she becomes unsatisfying to play.
Yeah, I hope that too. I would like to been able to test here with a trait that I can choose whatever I want. But again, that was the beta we were able to try. We will wait until the release to check that out and go to the training mode, etc.
So
Can we talk about Shield Bash now?
I was just about to bring that up.
Oh, that move.
Dun, 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 dun.
Actually,
That move made me rage quit. I rage quit a booth. A pre-release booth.
Right, okay.
That's true.
So to shed some light on this situation, the Shield Bash, and like as Nivek said right at the start of the Wonder Woman bit, they've changed her character power around. So in Injustice 1, she had access to shield and sword stance or web stance.
Yes.
So shield stance gave her access to some different normals, slower mobility. She lost her air dash, but she had shield bash. She had some other specials and stuff like that. Whereas in Injustice 2, they've kind of blended the two together. So shield bash is now in itself a standalone special move that she has. However, in this build of the game, the shield bash
It's pretty good.
had incredibly fast startup. On meter burn was safe, hit twice very fast, was plus at meaty ranges, and was her wake up attack and was incredibly fast. Now, out of everything in the build, this move by
6
itself,
frames.
everything in the build seemed like it made sense, apart from the shield bash. Like the shield bash just seemed to be something that it was incredible. It was very powerful, but I don't understand why she had it.
It's Doom's woman.
We were just about to say, we were kind of confused about how it worked at first, and then I think it was actually Nivek. The second Nivek made the connection of, it's basically Doomsday's shoulder charge. It all made sense. It was the wake up attack.
6 frames.
It's the full.
Yeah.
It's the wake up attack. It's the range on it. It's the fact that when you use regular and then meter burn, it's 2 hits very close together, so you can't meter burn back 3 on prediction. And it's plus on block, so it would set up for a great situation. It's by far, I think, her greatest special, without a shadow of a doubt. Very effective.
The normal one was safe on meaty as well.
Yeah, if she did it from max range. Carry on, Nivek.
Maybe sometimes was maybe plus 1, plus 2. We really don't know because we don't have the practice mode yet.
Yeah.
But still, when I went to check Wonder Woman out, I was trying every special move, and the first thing I watched and clearly saw in the Watchtower stream was that her shield bash was super fast, and on hit and on whiff was it had very good recovery. So I was like, okay, I have to check that out. I can see gold in that move. So I was trying
gold
that.
You indeed saw, Nivek.
Yes, I was trying that max range.
User in your channel timed
Oh,
out.
I feel like we've lost Omega. But continue. We'll just get. I'm sure Omega will just come back in.
He rage quitted.
Just talking about the shield bash, it just made him so mad. He's out of there.
He can't hear about it. So I was trying that max range. I was trying that on combos. I was trying that almost everywhere. The least I can say is okay, it's punchable very close range and maybe mid range, but you have to be ready about it. It's 6 frame move, very good recovery whiff, a lot of active frames. That's the big key about it, and it's maybe her best frame trap. You was doing that in close range or mid range, and you were able to meter burn it even on whiff. So all that makes it a good range tool, a good get-in tool, a good wake-up move, a good corner combo move, because you are able to use it to extend your combos like you were able in Injustice 1 on sword stance.
Yeah.
And that covers it all, I think. And when you were having 4 bars, it was like a free 20% chip damage on block, because your opponent, if they didn't have a parry move or something super strong to use, you were able to use it again and again. But still, it's like Aquaman. You must have meter to use it.
Yeah, for sure.
if you want to do combo with a good damage and because let me start from that. Yes, he has good
User was
meterless.
moved to your channel.
Oh,
He's back.
He's back.
Yeah, sorry
because
about
I'm not talking about that. Yeah. You didn't want to hear about Shield Bus. We understand that. It's okay.
Yeah, man, it was making me salty just thinking about it, so I had to calm myself down, recompose, and then come back.
Anyway, her meterless damage is good, but her low starter is actually slow. It's 20 plus frames.
Very, very slow. That's
Exactly.
what I mean when I say like there's no way you're just gonna get that in the neutral unless someone falls asleep mid game. Like it's
Yeah.
just realistically not gonna hit. But,
Maybe on your opponent's wake up you can set it up, but still it's very very slow. So you're depending on fast mids, back one or two, or down one. Here down one is 6 frames, so makes it a good threat. It's very very short on rates, but still, if you get your opponent hit with that, you can hit confirm it on back 4-2 Siltos into meter burn, into 4-3 the launcher, into something like 50% damage, which is really really strong. That makes it a good threat in close.
A big thing about her down one as well is one of the few characters that still retains a 2-hit string off her down one. She's got that sword attack off it too, right? And you can special cancel it, kind of like the way the Flash would do his he'd do like a 2-hit string off a down one into his like flurry of kicks into trait for a massive combo. Wonder Woman can pretty much do the same thing. She's got is it down one too or the string?
Yeah, down 1-2, -7 on block. It has
Was the
a
second
gap.
hit an overhead?
No.
Or was I imagining things? Alright, I was imagining things.
It's a double mid. It's -7 on block. Maybe it's bounceable. We don't know yet. We haven't tested that out. There's a gap between them. Actually, on stream, Reese was able to punish the gap
Yeah, I didn't mean to do
with
that.
a super.
That was an
That
accident.
man was
but it
just
worked,
mashing.
Yeah,
No,
mashing super.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Don't worry, mate. Don't worry. It's all good.
so
Okay.
is there anything left really to touch on with Wonder Woman?
Her
corner
specials.
control.
Her bum.
Yes, her mid range, her down to mid range were designed. Actually, that's the best placement you can have. If they back off a bit, you can silt bus into them, so you can be in a safe distance silt bus. If they're getting closer, you have down two, you have back two. You can jump into them with jump and 3, her best jump move.
Well, by far.
Here jump 2 is for air to air, and jump 1 is for more like get in with not such advantage, but still it's a mediocre jumping. Here as
her down
right,
3 still seems low profile.
yes, exactly. I was able to maneuver my way on some interactables.
Yeah, that was the big one. I mean, obviously, there's still a number of interactables in the game that are unblockable. I mean, the trade-off seems to be they don't do as much damage as they used to, which I hope remains consistent, because that, whilst it is still going to be annoying having some unblockable damage, that I'm assuming some characters will be able to guarantee. The fact they don't do as much is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I noticed you were able to, like, for example, like the cement mixer on the top of Metropolis, you were able to just like down 3 right under that shit, and it wasn't hitting you.
Yeah.
Or like the glass toss, which are normally quite frustrating to deal with. You seem to have consistent answers for that, which was very good. I think, unless there's anything glaring to add.
Yes, I couldn't find a clear use of her sealed uppercut. Her
oh yeah,
sorry,
the
you can
uppercut.
move. Yeah, I wasn't using that at all because when I was trying that out, it looked slow on startup, not very good range, and the overhead. I don't know, wasn't helping. It looked like more like a gimmicky move in the start. Yeah, on hit it has good damage, but still you want to end your combos with the whip.
Yeah, unless, like, perhaps as like a random thought, unless the shield bash isn't going to end up being her wake up attack, and that ends up
Yeah.
being a wake up attack, and the shield bash is used for, like, keeping things safe with meter burn or closing in the space. Have you guys talked about her down 1-2 yet? Or have I
Yeah,
missed
we
that?
just
Okay, awesome.
I feel like the final thought before Wonder Woman, really, I think that we can all agree on is that her footsies are very strong. She is good on the ground. In conjunction with all of her stuff together, her jump 3 is almost unanti-airable, unless you have like an exceptionally good anti-air. Her down 2, so her anti-air game is very strong, but her jumping game is strong because the jump 3 is really good. Granted, she's not going to jail into a string with the jump 3, so there is that to factor in. But I mean, just the range on things like her back 2 and her whips, and the fact that when if she's fortunate enough to get the lasso stance when you're near the corner, that whip special actually is no longer a high; it becomes a mid. So
Exactly.
she gets a lot of grounded control. And if you're a patient footsie-based character, like obviously Nivek, you are, and you have been for ages, I can see you doing really well with her. And in the small amount of time you played with Wonder Woman, you're already doing really well, and just a lot of patience and knowing when to enforce your pressure and sit just at that magical range where all your buttons work, and none of mine did. And I think that was Deadshot and Wonder Woman in particular. When you put Deadshot on the corner, I really felt like my stubby limbs, in comparison to yours, I felt like I just couldn't ever press buttons, and I was just getting hit back to back. Like, it was a really bad situation to be in, but it was something that you were enforcing. So I think that's going to be a big part of Wonder Woman, is just playing a solid, grounded game with good footsie tools.
Exactly. Her mid range is where she's gonna shine, but that doesn't mean she can't zone you a bit with her shield dodge, or go in with good jumpings and short but good strings.
So
Also,
very promising.
her 2-3 is a very good string with a push away on hit and plus 17 on block, but has a gap on it. But still, it's a good string. Her extensions on both her mix-up back 2-3 and forward 2-3 are a lot of minus, but her back 2 is a launcher, safe launcher, -3 on the current data we had on this beta. It's a launcher, not more than 20%. Like we said, the twin said, you're getting no good damage on meterless juggles.
Plus, that low is like
Yes.
you said, the low is very slow, so you are going to be able to react to it. So
Yes.
I'm not gonna get the pitchforks out and say 50/50s and whatnot. But
No.
she just
Also,
as a whole seems quite
also
complete.
it's -20, so you
Yeah.
can't get anything out of that. Yeah, I think we covered most of her things. I'm gonna make a thread on Destiny My 2 later,
Cool, man. Yeah.
talking about it in more details.
I'll link
on
that
her
as well.
moves.
But
wonderful.
yeah, I believe that is Wonder Woman done and dusted. I think we've got 2 characters left to touch on. So I believe one of them is going to be Harley Quinn, and one of them is going to be Dr. Fate. Now, both of these characters, I know we haven't heard from you in a while, Adam, but you actually played Dr. Fate and Harley. You definitely played Harley the most out of all of us. So I think we'll go in. We'll let you really shine a bit and just chat some Harley Quinn.
What was Harley Quinn in
What
this?
did you notice with Injustice 2 Harley?
I mean, she's kind of like Aquaman, as in she's kind of had the kind of one more patch treatment to kind of fit for this game. Most stuff is similar, although the biggest change was back 2-2 not comboing if you were too close into Tantrum. So it just kind of whiff. Well, it wouldn't whiff, it just dropped the combo. So you had to do it at kind of a really kind of far out range. So what ended up happening is it's kind of created this game where you commit to back 2 Tantrum, which obviously you can't hit confirm, and then you kind of you can still hit confirm the Tantrum, but at least I think the whole design around it is it puts you in a position where they can kind of then read your Tantrum into either blocking the cartwheel or any of the other options which are equally unsafe, or reading that you're going to try and roll out now. Apart from that, she had a couple of new strings. She had the, well, maybe just one new string. I can't remember too much because I've played Aquaman like more so. But she had one with the bat where she did stand 2, and then she did the kind of the overhead bat, and you could either keep them close with the bat, although you wasn't at that much advantage, or finish the kind of ender and take out the damage. I didn't find much use for this because her traditional way of ending combos with a 1-2 play doctor was often the best still because it was higher damage. But I think the one use from it is if you didn't complete the bat string, you could keep them close and then go for Oki after that. So you could kind of sacrifice some damage from your B&B, sacrifice about 10%, and then you've left them like on the floor exactly like right by you.
Which would set up quite nicely, I think, to the fact that even though she's kind of, I guess, lost her hit confirmable mix-up, you can still do forward 2 or back 2, which is overhead or low, straight into tantrum for a full combo. So I guess leaving them that close won't be the end of the world because you've now got that really meaty overhead or low mix-up, both of which will combo with the tantrum. I guess they've just tried to make it so she can't just do it anymore as easily. You've really got to dedicate, and once you've dedicated to that tantrum, you're punishable in a lot of situations. You had some pretty cool swag though in the corner involving the fact that when, I think, was it you found that when back 2-2 connects from far, it's still combos.
Yeah,
but that's
you could
from
do
a further distance.
Yeah, you could do it mid-screen as well. It's just there's no. I suppose you could probably use the corner setup as well, and it'd still work. But I thought, I'll do that all kind of Injustice 1 combo where you add in the EX pop for the extra damage. So I did jump 2, stand 3 into EX pop, and because you left at so much advantage, you could walk back and kind of you could confirm the distance and then go into the fall back 2-2. And because it was plus on block like Injustice 1 still, you could kind of see it and then either go for a back 2 or overhead if they indeed blocked it. But that was a way to get the string to connect, yeah.
Cool. I mean, like, other than that, I think that's the big thing about Harley, really, is that she's very much the same. She's not changed a huge amount, but a big change for Harley. I was just about to say,
aside from character power being more reliable, which
hyenas are really good.
It doesn't sound like much, but it is a big deal for her.
How did you find the hyenas then, Jim?
I think for anything really great to come out of it, you'll need a bit of lab time because it'll probably be a way to kind of set up positions where you can throw out a hyena on Oki or something similar, or certain ranges in neutral and combo from it, kind of use it to bait stuff. But because the hyenas have like a lot more, like have quite a bit of recovery. It's not just you throw it and then you instantly recovered, and it's kind of like you're following a fireball basically. It's kind of by the time the hyena's gone out, you just recovered basically. But it was super useful in the corner to end into a hyena because you could kind of, if you just wanted to trade, the hyena did like it did like, I think it was 8 or 10% damage. So if you knew someone had a wake up that didn't do that much, or even if they spend by, like the hyena runs the whole screen, so he'd often trade as well because that's where its other use came in, and that's because her zoning's quite annoying but didn't do that much damage. That's kind of how her zoning's always been.
Yeah.
It's kind of another option instead of using the cupcake bombs. So where if a far range you can throw a cupcake bomb and it'd knock down and it'd do a nice bit of damage for a trade. When they're closer now, you can instead opt to throw the dog, and because even if
hyenas.
Two dogs. We'll call them dogs for now.
Dog 1 and
Dog doggos. Ooh,
the best part is even if you get hit, the dog will still come out. So there's not much grand overall risk you throwing it out. You throw it out, they're jumping on you, and dialing the string, they're getting hit by the dog. If you throw it and they did a projectile, like if you've knocked him down after say a string and you throw the dog and then they try and wake up with a projectile or do a projectile.
Every ounce of my being is screaming to correct you to hyena every time you say
it's
dog.
not going to happen.
Well, it's like the same way you would use Swamp Thing's log kick, is that you know you're going to take it the trade.
Exactly.
And the hyena doesn't care anyway, it just runs face first into whoever you're against.
The best thing it was used for in culmination with her other change was her new super.
Oh yeah, I was about to touch on that.
Yeah, you throw the dog, and it kind of what it meant for Harley is she kind of got a way to do steady chip damage if she's facing someone that she just needs to get that last kind of bit to chip them out on the round, or someone like really doesn't want to play patient and just accept that she's going to chip them a bit more than usual now. You throw the dog, and if they jump, they get a super, and of course if supers stay the same kind of rough damage, like her super was easily worth the 4 bars, because you got a gripper damage. It was safe on block, which I don't think Injustice 1's was at all. And what is really cool is that we found out is
you did something sick.
Yeah,
I think you're just about to touch on it. Yeah, go on.
Do you want to tell the story, or shall I tell it? Or
well, so it was one of the best moments. So Harley's super in this game is a 2-piece setup where it starts. The animation is that Harley will slide across the floor, trip you up, and you kind of fly over her. As she does the slide, she plants a bomb where she currently is. So what happened is she slides under you, and then as you get knocked over her, you land on the bomb will launch you, and then the super cinematic will start. It's a cool setup. It looks really nice. However, no matter if you beat her out or not, when she does the slide, that bomb is still active. So it happened twice, where first of all, you just sort of used the super. It was one of our earlier games where you just kind of see what it did. I knew that it was a slide, so right as you slid, I went, I'm going to jump over and then whiff punish. Right as you did that slide, I jumped over, landed on the bomb, and it anti-aired me. It blew me up. And then the cinematic, and I died. That was the first bit. The second bit was the very next game, where basically you did this. I jumped right as you tried to anti-air me with the slide. I did my air gunshot to stay in the air for longer. The bomb still picked me up because it was so active, but because the bomb, the late active frames of the explosion caught me, you had already recovered, you knew you recovered, and you actually comboed off it and killed me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of like you can't there might even be setups, but you cannot traditionally just kind of avoid a super, because or at least if you avoid it, you can't punish it. Yeah, and you can. I reckon if you got once you got good at the kind of understanding that you're gonna get that confirm. I mean, I hit you super high. I probably could have hit a back 3 confirm and got a full 35% combo from it.
Apparently we had training mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that super is super useful compared to our old one.
Cool. Well, I think that pretty much sums up everything about Harley. Basically, very similar to our original Injustice 1 design. A lot of her moves are pretty much identical. Some minor changes here and there involving her back 2, which combos the back 2-2. The 2 low gun shots will still connect, but only far away into Tantrum stance. Tantrum stance is pretty much the same. And up close, she now has to dedicate more to the overhead or low. The hyenas are really effective because they work really well as an addition to her keep away tools. They're also great for trading because the second you've thrown that, wherever the hell it is that she throws to get the hyena to go out, that hyena's already going to go, and you can't get it to stop. So that's, all in all, a really good tools together with an already good character from the first game. But she's been given some changes here that I think really will make her more consistent at the very least. But this pretty much leaves us with one more character. And again, I know pretty much Omega, UndeadJim, and you, Mustard, all 3 of you played Dr. Fate. You played him quite a lot.
Yeah, he was really cool. Yeah, he was really, really enjoyable. I mean, out of all the characters we played, he definitely seems like he's going to take the most figuring out. Again, when we've got access to a training mode, this is going to be a lot more useful. But I know they commonly refer to Dr. Fate as one of the quintessential zoners, keep away characters whenever they talk about anything in the Watchtower, and that definitely seemed to be the case. His projectiles consisted of the finger shot, Could be meter burned to shoot 3 times. Could do it in the air. The air finger shot had a lot of recovery, so I don't know how reliable that will be when it's done against anyone but someone in the air. Like, for example, if you see a Superman go up and shoot a laser, you could probably jump with him and shoot a laser at him and actually hit him for it. He had his orb that you could stop for a bar of meter, had a lot of startups, so against other zoners the orb wasn't very useful, but against people that couldn't contest the orb, it was very powerful. As well as his ability to summon Anks to himself. So obviously he can summon 3 of them and then send them out. He can send them out at any time and block immediately, so you can send them whenever you want. They do kind of like guaranteed 1% damage when they land, and when the opponent had 3 of them on them, they exploded. They could block the explosion. It was just a mid. It was just a mid block, but as soon as they've got 3 on them, they kind of know they have to sit there. It would detonate regardless whether you were being thrown or hit or whatever. So as soon as they've got 3 on them, they have to hold that. But definitely keep weight oriented. His jump-ins were very weak. His jump-in 1 and 2 are probably the worst jump-ins I've ever seen in another Rome game.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. Like, definitely horrendously bad jump-ins. And this,
I don't think they can hit people on the ground.
Yeah, it definitely didn't seem like it. Like, and even then, like, if you launch someone with a forward 3 or a back 3, it seemed quite hard to even get them to hit an airborne opponent. And even then, like, it was, I don't know, just not very satisfying jump-ins, but clearly meant for either air-to-air or to just deter you from jumping as Dr. Fate, because he seemed to be a very grounded character in the sense that his projectiles were very effective. His finger shot would be, it would be a mid, like you couldn't crouch it from, like, about 50% of the screen and beyond, so that's quite powerful, it seemed. His normals were kind of up and down. He had a really good mid in forward 2. It was very fast. It was kind of like a charge forward, and on hit you could go forward 2 up 3 and launch them. But the launcher would not come out on block, only on hit, and the forward 2 by itself is unsafe. So it seemed like if you wanted to make his mid safe, you had to do like the Ank push, which is kind of like the Martian or Zod kind of push attack. He's kind of got the Ank version. It's his wake up attack. You could kind of throw that on block to keep yourself safe, but on hit you'd get nothing. So he seems like one of the trickier characters that we've seen so far.
Yeah,
like
I was going to say, I think, like on release, I'm looking forward to see what people do with him, because I think he's one of the characters we didn't quite crack, if you know what I mean, when we were playing over the weekend.
He's not very obvious. Like, he is going to take a bit of lab time. Yeah. But again, keep in mind, like, we had a lot of time with the game over the 3 days, but it was not like I'll sit there for 2 hours and just do nothing but training mode with Dr. Fate, because it was a consumer show. We weren't hogging the setups. We weren't trying to just, keep the public from playing. We were there for a long time, but there was a lot of setups in total. So we didn't want to kind of, keep the public from being able to play.
I think one thing that we've been doing as well, right? Like, we have actually quite often already have gone away from the Insomnia event, and we've already had these moments where we're like, oh, I wish I'd have tried that with Fate, or I wish I'd have tried this with Fate. Like, out of all the characters that we've gone away from and have new ideas to incorporate his moveset into different situations, he's probably the character that seems to pop into conversation the most, because there was so much to him. You could lab Fate for ages, and I think you'd find a lot of good stuff. He's going to take time and training to, I think, maximize, because there is so much going on. I mean, we haven't even touched on what his character power is or how we found that, but his character power, even that is crucial to, I think, playing him, because it just makes his moves so much better.
Yeah, I mean, it was making his finger shots do like 12%, like a lot by himself.
Damage is kind of nuts.
Yeah, it made his meter burn, Ank push, launch, which let you get like a forward 3 follow up or back 3 if your timing was correct. But I mean, to be honest, like, we've been sitting here for like an hour now just talking about these characters, and you realize just how much of, like, considering the most of these characters have been seen on the Watchtower stream. A lot of this stuff they covered, like, and I just kind of want to do a quick shout out to the Watchtower stream for
exactly.
But
you guys are the best.
Basically talking about what we're talking about, but they do it in so much more of a. I mean, we've got time to kill, so we're going into detail. But fundamentally, a lot of this stuff's already been covered, so I'm sure a lot of this isn't a surprise to you guys. So shout outs to Tyler and Derek and 16-bit for being able to do this so much more consistently. And as fun as it was to get our hands on the game, if you guys don't watch the Watchtower streams on NetherRealm, make sure you do it, because you find out a lot of this already. It's been really interesting.
One key thing with Fate, which I think if it stays the way it is, might be really useful. is that he's actually got a special cancelable hard knockdown string. I think it's 112, is it?
2-1-1.
Oh, 2-1-1.
That seemed like I discovered this or thought of this right at the end, but the string you see in all the trailers where he does like 3 blasts with his hands and then like electrocutes them with green magic or something. That's 2-1-1-3. It seemed like his quintessential ender for damage because it did quite a chunk by itself. But the third hit of it, because you could end the string early at just 3 hits, was a hard knockdown and could be special cancelled. So when the game comes out, like the first thing I'm going to try is, the first thing I'm going to try when I eventually get around to playing Fate is going to look into that and see if there's any interesting stuff there, because that seems like it's got some potential. But that's like going super in detail. And again, remember, pre-release build. We don't know how much of this is going to be relevant in a month's time.
Other than that, sorry, no, carry on, carry on.
The best thing about playing at Insomnia was that everyone, including me, including you guys, when we were going back to the hotels, were like, "Oh, I wanted to test that. I want to try that." And
Yeah,
we
there's
were
always more.
sleeping with imagination of the combos we could do
we
and everything.
kept looking more, man. Like we'd finish the day and be like, "Oh no, I didn't think of this, didn't think of that." Like that's the sign of the game is good, right? When you've played it all day,
when you want
as soon
to
as
play
you finish,
more,
all you want to do is play it again. Like I'm so excited for May 19th.
Other than this,
It honestly can't. Yeah, it can't come fast enough.
now we're going to get some questions probably saying, how did the beta characters feel? The answer for that, I think, is very simple.
The same.
They
They're
all
pretty
seem the
much
same.
identical.
I tested Atrocitus quite a lot, just for one designated like half hour or so, just playing Atrocitus, because I played him loads in beta. He felt basically identical, and it was pretty much the same for every beta character. In that build in particular, the beta characters were exactly the same with no changes whatsoever. In that one build, they really didn't seem to have any changes at all.
Yeah, I think the only thing I noticed is with Canary, it was a lot harder to land back free after 2-up free, and it was already hard enough in the beta, so I'm not sure if that's like a hitbox thing or if,
Maybe you just
remove
suck.
that or whatever. Yeah, I'm probably just terrible. We knew that anyway, but
I tried some Supergirl for maybe 10 minutes. I didn't want to play anything
the
else
mirrors.
than Wonder Woman, but I tried it for some time, and she looked exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, again, this was like super pre-release. Like, I get the hunch that the characters on the beta that were on this build were basically just kind of ported straight along, and the focus was probably put on the new ones that hadn't been seen at event before. So not a big surprise they were the same. But I guess like a final point to touch on, without going into too much detail. I mean, just generally, all the characters felt like they made sense. Like no one is screaming to be like a trash, low tier, buggy, not made properly. Kind of like everyone, all the characters just seem to make sense, and that's promising. I mean, considering, particularly Ryan and myself, we had a lot of time with Injustice before it came out. We had significantly less time, but a little bit of time with MKX at a few shows before it came out, and there were a lot of characters like their strings didn't work, a lot of stuff didn't combo into itself. There were kind of like some clear pre-release issues that we knew would be fixed by the time the game came out, but they were present at these events. And Injustice 2 just hasn't had that problem yet, which is very refreshing.
Every character looks like is special. Every character. They were watching everything on every character so they don't mess up anything. And we want to thank them about this.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, one thing that 16-Bit said on a Watchtower stream a while ago was something they always liked about Injustice 1 was every character kind of felt like they played their own game and they had a very specific play style.
They've got their own archetype.
Yeah, definitely. And Injustice 2 is following that to a T. So standout job so far. Fingers crossed the whole cast is like this when the game comes out. Because this is just a few of the stages too, right? We had Arkham Asylum, which was cool. We had Atlantis. Like everything we tried out was good. And if you guys watching are looking forward to Injustice 2, I'm looking forward to seeing what you all think of it. Make sure you're being active, getting your opinions out there, and enjoy the game if you can, and play it a ton because we will be.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be fantastic.
It's not a long wait now as well. It really. Granted, I think now we've played it. Insomnia this month is going to be the longest month of our lives. I think because it's going to be quite a chunky wait. I think. However, I think that basically wraps things up. It's been a nice chunk of time, this one. I've really enjoyed sitting down and just informally chatting about the game and what everyone thought about it.
We need to do these podcasts more often, I think.
We plan to. When Injustice 2 comes out, Mustard and I plan to do these, I guess, condiment casts. They're called now, aren't they? Doing them a lot and really covering a lot of hot topics in the competitive NRS scene. Starting with Injustice, we want to sit down and chat with people from all over the community, from all over the world about whatever's hot with Injustice 2. That's our plan, and using the Condiment cast as a vessel to do that.
I'm looking forward to bringing it down a level.
Oh, dearie me, Omega. However, I think that's about it from us. Wow, I spent like an hour and didn't slur my words, but right at the last minute I fumbled it.
Thanks for coming on, guys. I understand it was been a chunk of time, but we had a good weekend together. And I think that while it's very much still fresh in our minds, it was important to get this out. So thanks very much for sitting down with us, and thanks for watching at home. Those of you that sat through this entire block, hopefully you were entertained by our dull tones and monotone tones.
You guys are troopers, man. You guys are troopers.
Don't forget to go and see the Wonder Woman movie when it comes out.
Exactly, and then you'll want to shield bash everyone.
Yes.
Wow.
Alright, well, on that note, I think we are going to bring this one to an end. So see you guys later. Thanks again for coming on, and see you all next time.
The pleasure was all mine.